here we are. And do you notice anything different? We have a few surprises.
We do.
This is the first broadcast of the year. Welcome to Live from Model Schools. If you are used to this, you already know that if you're in the chat room, you can communicate that way. If you're watching an archive session, we'll incorporate you just as easily. But we have a really tight schedule, and we can't wait to share with you what we're going to share. So just a few introductions. My colleagues, May Isaac and Alana Winnick. And I'm Leslie Accardo, and we are in our 3rd season of doing Model Schools Live.
Season 3, episode 1.
And we are broadcasting for you from our new Active Learning Center. And you know, normally how we have guests in the room, the guest is the room this time, so we can't wait to share it with you.
Oh, our back channel is in the link below, today'smeet.com/LHRIC.
Let's take just a quick pan around the room here. And see who
this is great.
Waiting in the wings.
If you haven't been here, this is a great way to see
That's one
this
side.
new room. And this is called the sharing studio, where we are in the front. We have
actually
visitors.
have some individuals, but you know, the other surprise is that they're not visitors. We are absolutely thrilled to welcome 2 new colleagues to the Instructional Technology team, and they're going to be joining us on the couch.
Come to the couch.
Come join us.
Yay. I feel like we should have one of those clapping intros, like when people walk on stage.
Happy holidays, all. Happy holidays.
Randy, you didn't just write on that tabletop, did you?
No, it's a pad. It's a paper pad.
Oh, unique. Wonder what other surprises you're going to find in this room.
So I want to take a moment to introduce. They feel like they're new, but they don't feel like they're new anymore. So 2 colleagues that have specialties in the Instructional Technology team, Randy Hall and Alyssa Arroyo.
Good morning.
Randy, you're going to be doing the majority of talking because I think you're closest to the work of the Active Learning Center, but do you just want to give a quick introduction, just how long you've been here and some of the specifics in terms of what you're involved with in the EdTech team?
Oh, sure. So I joined the LHRIC Instructional Technology team in July, and currently my areas of work include our distance education, online and blended learning programs and services, helping to facilitate some of the implementation of the Active Learning Center, working with other BOCES and RICs across the state to the New York State Distance Learning Consortium, and any other kind of research projects that come along the way.
Fantastic. And Alyssa, you are actually the newest member to the Model Schools core team. Yeah. So just a little bit about some of the work that you've been doing and an outlook in terms of what your expertise is going to be.
Yeah, so I'm an EdTech facilitator here at LHRIC, and I work in the Model Schools core program. And what that involves is doing workshops related to cloud-based software such as Google, the whole Google suite, and Microsoft products. And then I also have been dabbling in the new robotics workshops that we're going to be offering.
And put a pin in that because we're actually going to have a broadcast specifically about that. So if you are interested or you have colleagues that are interested in robotics, we've got a real treat. We're actually launching a support service in February, but our Model Schools Live broadcast is really going to unpack that for you.
Yeah, and I also dabble in some customized PD within the districts as well.
So welcome. And we want to officially
have you guys here.
Welcome you to the room. So as you're looking around, I just want to give you a context. This was, I don't know, I can't remember how long in the making this was. It seems like we've been thinking about this forever.
Like a year.
But from the planning stage,
year.
we took 2 of our older rooms and basically transformed it into a physical space that's meant to really have certain learning behaviors flourish.
Yeah.
And there's an art and a science behind this room that we don't want to go unnoticed. So what we'll do is really kind of talk to one of the chief Randy, I want to say that you're one of the chief architects and engineers of actually phasing this room in, although there were a lot of people involved in making it work.
Yes.
So we want to just really show you the room, talk about how it was developed, some of the premises behind the zones, but give you an opportunity to actually come in here, tour the room, and use the room, because there's some districts that have actually taken advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
So at any time, if you want to pan around,
Yeah.
if you're talking about
Well,
something, we'll be able to show you by the camera what the whole room looks
I
like.
would figure we can talk about the room and then we'll give you a tour of the room after we have a basic.
And all of us
foundation
have
the room.
used the room for certain capacity,
Yeah.
for certain sessions, so we're just going to share with you some of our impressions so far. And we're on a learning path along with you, which is interesting, and we're
Yes.
all trying to be very, very reflective of our practice. So as we design and deliver courses, we're actually really kind of modeling and showing our learning to you, because it is a new space, but it's new practice as well. So
Do we want to mention that we visited some of our component places where we got some of this inspiration from? I know.
You mean this just didn't come bounce
No,
out of my head?
no, we
No.
just didn't dream this place up. There's actually some inspiration that we got when we worked with Grand Prairie out of Iowa.
Like Great Prairie?
Great Prairie or Grand Prairie? I thought it was. Oh gosh, don't watch this if I got your name wrong. But we were inspired by that. We also have some local Chappaqua got a
Yes,
beautiful
certainly.
iLab that definitely gave us a lot of input
And
into this.
then we visited Steelcase.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you got to do that. That was
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
That's
I
where
heard.
we went furniture shopping. That was pretty exciting.
So Randy, you'll describe Steelcase in terms of what
Sure.
kind of partner they've been, and they've been around for a while.
Sure.
So the name might be familiar to you, but they were really seminal in helping to put this together.
Yeah, Steelcase Education is one of the world's kind of most notorious experts in research on posture, impact of space on learning, thinking, and furniture design. You know, here at LHRIC, it was about a year ago when the team and Sarah Marvano and the leadership here kind of took advantage of an opportunity to parallel active learning and flexible learning spaces is a field that's exploding in K through 12. It's there's been a lot of work in higher education, but now in K-12, the ideas and principles of what can a flexible learning space do for student learning and teacher instruction, how can active learning enhance skills and knowledge achievement in schools. So there was a period of research and design that everybody went through, and then when I joined in July, a lot of the outfitting was already done, and I've just been kind of putting some polish points on it to craft some of the intents behind each of the areas in the room. One of the key aspects for flexible learning spaces is accommodating a tapestry of different instructional modes or learning behaviors. So what we've done here is we've kind of created an identity for the 4 different areas in the room. You guys mentioned earlier, this is kind of the sharing studio with this lounge seating behind us, as well as the bench seating here. And this kind of zone is ideal for small to medium-sized groups to encourage discussion, debate, witness, observation, teaching or presentation from peer to individuals to small groups. And the technology infrastructure here in the studio includes 2 display monitors.
Randy, would you
that
like
can
to
be
take them on a
tailored.
tour of the room?
Yep. So this is our sharing studio.
Just give me one moment while I switch.
Where are we going to go to next?
Wherever you would like, I'm going to use my phone as a camera and follow you around the room.
Alrighty.
Oh.
So, it was
It's our
muted. Hold on one
showrunner here.
second. Okay. Randy, are you ready to go on a tour of the room?
Sure, sure. So we're going to leave the sharing studio, and we're going to travel over here to the left to a zone we kind of call the reflection lounge, or lounge for short. But this space includes 2 lower style chairs and stools and a movable dry erase wall that also has incorporated into it a display monitor. This zone is perfect for those individuals who prefer to work on their own in a safe and protected space. Perfect for reflection, pondering, questioning, investigation in a isolated area. So that's our reflection lounge. We're going to move over this way to one of the larger spaces. The collaboratory is a space suitable for small to medium groups, either working entirely on their together or separately. The collaboratory is perfect for practicing, probing, research, experimentation, and the flexible furniture just is easily movable to accommodate any kind of learning structure that adults or students might need. Also, again, incorporated 2 displays that can be individually controlled by each group or simultaneously combined together, as you see here. So our collaboratory space is perfect for multiple groups or individuals or large groups. We're going to transition over here. The 4th zone we call the knowledge kiosk. It's an ideal space for a pair or 3 individual to work independently again, but also to do research, investigation, deliberation, or sharing. These furniture pieces here can also expand the kiosk to 3 or 4. And it taps into the idea of active sitting. These are the buoy chairs. And I know many of our team members here enjoy actively sitting.
Yeah, that's right.
Alana is a big buoy user and everything. So here in the Active Learning Center, the 4 zones, the kiosk, the collaboratory, the lounge, and the studio.
Randy, talk a little bit about the walls. And the intent behind being able to use any space is basically a...
Sure. One of the fascinating realizations when we're looking at the intersection of space, technology, and instructional design is how the furniture plays a more important role, not just in terms of comfort and seating and moving around, but workspace. So every furniture piece or location has workspace built into it. But there's also built into the room itself workspace for dry erase wall treatments. And so each zone incorporates a very large dry erase space for individuals, teams to brainstorm, extrapolate, visualize, illustrate. So here in the kiosk, dry erase space. Here in the collaboratory, this is the dry erase space, and then also in the studio and the lounge. Additional workspace options include accommodations for individual use. So these personal huddle boards, they're called, allow an individual to take their work with them. But to discuss and reflect collectively about my work, the instructor can also take advantage of components and elements that allow for the spontaneous display and sharing of either individual or group work. So there's these personal huddle boards for workspace options as well. For larger group or small group workspace, either the dry erase walls or these team huddle boards. And they're very light and flexible. You just take them with you, and you can work on the floor, on the table. But an important principle with active learning spaces, again, is not only workspace options, but then display and conversation and dialogue. So it makes it very easy to take analog work and share it and discuss amongst the group.
Oh, can you show us this?
Oh, sure. One of the fun aspects here in the lounge is this collaborative table, and it incorporates a drawing pad and very easily removable to take my work with me and again then display and share. So if 2 or 3 or 4 individuals are here working together, the table moves so that every individual doesn't have to move. Everybody can contribute their work together and have the table do all the work.
And all of us have had some experience in this room, either on the active side or the passive side. I think that would help everybody if we just kind of gather around and go around and share, because it's, you know, walking into a room like this, you make many assumptions about how easy it is or how natural it's going to feel. And I think, Alyssa, you made a comment that was really, I reflected on it. is it almost brings out or amplifies the design of your workshop.
Yeah, definitely.
And it could be a positive thing or an area of challenge.
Right.
So, and Randy, one of the things immediately that I think of when we have districts come and visit the room is we've been very privileged to retrofit this room because we had the space, the manpower, the funding. What message would you give for districts that want to start, experimenting with retrofitting spaces, but they might not have access to the furniture or the resources? Can these zones be replicated in a certain way? Are there principles that can be carried over into a room that might not have the flexibility?
Absolutely, and you'll probably already see some of these principles at play when you go and observe and investigate your lower elementary environments. Educators and teachers are always creative problem solvers, and so all the things we've seen where teachers take the tennis balls and put them on the stools, right?
The silence.
Movable chairs and desks. Absolutely. Some of the principles, PLES, that we've kind of sifted up in a flexible learning space, one thing to consider is diversity. Diversity in arrangements or accommodations for personal preferences. So bench style seating versus chair seating. That's a difference. Lower versus higher. Yeah. So the cafe style level tables or ledges you see behind here. It's been fascinating looking at other environments and some of the other insights that diversity in levels, so taller, medium, lower in a space, gives individuals choice. And they can choose what is most comfortable for them personally, but also what might be more suited to the type of work they're engaged in.
I don't know if you found this, but my experience has been when there's no rules and people walk into the room, they tend to congregate around this area.
Yeah, it's so funny though. In the 20% class, every other experience I've had was that. Except for that one class.
And it might have had to do with like maybe the kind of ambiance that it had. It had music playing, and I think everybody kind of felt free to.
It was bizarre. It was the first experience I ever had.
Class attached, so they maybe had certain expectations.
Well, 20% time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So genius hour. So maybe they had their,
So what was?
Were they sitting up here?
I don't know.
It was a do now in the beginning.
Yes, there was a do now, and it required them, one of the do nows, and it was up on all the screens, was it was something about writing on the walls. So they were forced to get up and move in the room.
Yeah.
And speaking of movement, I don't know about you folks, but I've also found one of the challenges here, Randy, you use the word transitions a lot. And when we received our own professional development from some Steelcase representatives, they really leaned on the purpose and the idea behind transitions, that it's not just getting up and stretching and changing your scenery for any point.
Not just for the sake of transition.
No, but talk about what a transition really, really means and why it's so difficult to really do.
It was fascinating for me when we worked with the Steelcase facilitator, and she began bringing this idea to the foreground about transitions. And for me, it tapped into how we all know in traditional instruction, planning a modality change every 15 to 20 minutes helps your audience stay engaged.
Right.
And it actually, I find, grows out of that same principle. But in a space such as this, having intention as the instructional designer about reshifting the participant's mindset or focus or attention. The facilitator shared with us a technique to keep in mind when you're designing activities is about 2 to 3 transitions per hour. And those can be as simple as, if you're using the space and the zones as a sequential path, just a transition from one zone to another, and so a rotation model. It can also incorporate just a refocus from individual work to then bringing the group together for reflection and sharing, and that can be a transition. And then a transition back to other audience sizes. So I'm fascinated by either the rotation model, an activity here, an activity there, and then the learners rotate through, or I want people to be engaged for a period of time, first in their own individual pursuits, then get together in smaller groups, and then get together as a large group, and then go back. And so weaving in and out those transitions becomes part of the creative challenge.
And Randy, if you're, I want to be mindful of the fact that you have some really nice digital assets. So if people are watching this live, or maybe you have high interest and you want to start engaging your colleagues in the discussion, there is a website that we'd like to share with you.
I'll share it with everyone.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask Randy a question that was sort of based on what he was saying. As he was saying it was formulating in my mind. Do you find, it sounds almost like you had a difference between directed and self-directed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like they take ownership more of a self-directed, or do participants, maybe their first time here, look to you for like reassurance that they're making the right choices, or do they feel that permission? Yeah, that's exactly it. Do they feel comfortable, or do they need to like almost expressly hear that it's okay to do these things?
Right. It's a fascinating question, May, because and I think we're gonna have to wait and see how it works out. I've kind of observed some unique curiosities with adults visiting in here.
Yeah.
But I hope we're also going to have the opportunity to have this become a research exploratory lab for groups of students. We have had a number of districts who have already come by to take a visit and have conversations with us about how they're thinking of retrofitting. So Ossining, Putnam Valley, the Southwest Boise Special Services Division, Edgemont. So it's curious, when are young students going to not need as much permission as older adults? I don't know.
Yeah, the district my kids attend had just started doing things like this with some of the furniture and some of the node chairs in some of their classrooms. And it's more in the middle school level, but the kids are really just taking to it. It's almost like as adults, we're so used to have, certain adult behaviors that we forget that spontaneous side of ourselves and of learning sometimes.
Randy, would you like to walk us through the website?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I have the screen shared. Everyone could see what's on your screen, so just talk us through the website.
So if you're curious about the aspects of the Active Learning Center here at LHRIC, this website, alc.lyric.org,
we'll put it in the today's meet as well.
Is available for everybody, and it provides first a kind of interactive brochure, if you will, where you can see some of the aspects and photographs of each of the zones. You can also explore some of the design principles at play for each zone. So for example, we've articulated for each of the zones a kind of profile where we describe the ideal learner modes or audience sizes, the ideal learning behaviors that are facilitated by that zone, and insight into the technology and furniture available. You can also find information about the partners that were supportive with the LHRIC in this project. And then if you're curious to take a visit to the Active Learning Center, or if you're a member of the Model Schools service here at the LHRIC, you can also book and use the Active Learning Center for your own purposes. A board meeting, a leadership team meeting, a class, or a professional development program. And for more information on that, or to request an appointment on the Active Learning Center, you can just use the online options on the website, or contact me at alc@lyric.org.
So even down to the color scheme.
Yeah.
Everything's so purposeful that we take for granted when we think about physical space impacting behavior. And one of the things that I learned is that there's a whole discipline, is it architectural psychology, that's existed. You basically behave for the space that you're in. So if you're waiting in line at the supermarket, there's a certain behavior that's expected. If you're in a church or a synagogue or a place of worship, there's a certain behavior that's expected. So what is it, I'm hoping that this room is going to catalyze some of the things that we've been talking about. And it's funny because Sarah and I were having a conversation about, we've been in the business about over 20 years and always kind of pushing and kicking against the goads and pushing that rock up the hill. And we looked at each other and said, what if it really was just about changing the space?
Mhm.
And all the pieces actually fall into place. The only way to know that is if we use it and you use it. The invitation is open, and now you've got an episode, an archived episode to go back to and think about and reflect and share.
And a website.
So we hope you enjoyed the multiple surprises that we have for you today.
Oh, I do have another surprise. Leslie already ruined the surprise for herself because I didn't realize that she was going to get the email.
Of course
but
I did.
I thought her jaw was going to drop when I announced this, but it did happen just privately at home, not in front of everyone. I retrieved access to our old YouTube channel with our first season of Live from Model School.
Go back
all the old episodes are back.
Watch it over the break.
So I will be downloading them and uploading them to our current channel. So we have a playlist, but May,
oh my gosh, this is going to be like, we should title the first one maybe a gag reel. We were definitely having some fun, but I hope that everybody who watches this really gets that we're doing this because this is what we love. And this really grew out of our conversations that we were having around the office, across the hall, in our old location, and now pretty much over the cubicles. I'm waiting for one of us to like prairie dog over the top.
We love talking about it, and now we love sharing.
Yeah. Also, I love that it's grown into a featured guest each episode, not just a panel of the three of us. Each episode does have something unique and special that we bring each time.
So we hope you enjoyed the guest of the Active Learning Center, the guest, even though they're not guests, the addition of 2 new staff members, and from all of us to all of you, we hope that you have a wonderful holiday break. We can't wait to see you here, and we'll officially close out Season 3, Episode 1. Watch it again. There's some little tidbit in here to help spark some thinking.
Oh, yeah.
So,
all right. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
See you in 2016.
Absolutely.